And welcome back to the Hot Lap. We are talking, well, so far, the most controversial Grand Prix. Yeah, only took 5 to get here with Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri at the start. That's all most people are going to be talking about. But what a race from Oscar Piastri and others. And what a race from Charles Leclerc as well. A few disappointments up and down. But who was at fault? Did Max deserve the penalty? Should he have got a bigger penalty? Was he racing fair? Should Oscar have left them room? All this and a bit more. So, first of all, congratulations, Oscar Piastri, the winner of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and a very strong race he had too. It's particularly the whoops-a-daisy at that first corner, which I promise we will get into, but let's just have a look at the results. So it was a 1, 2, 3 from absolutely stunning drivers most of the time. Oscar Piastri obviously winning, Max Verstappen in second, and a fantastic race, Charles Leclerc in third. The first, other than the sprint races, the first race podium for the Ferrari team. Finally, Lando Norris couldn't quite get the podium done, although 10th to 4th was a very solid drive. In 5th, we had George Russell. 6th, Kimi Antonelli. 7th, Lewis Hamilton. I think you'll be disappointed with that, Lewis will. 8th, Carlos Sainz in the Williams. Very good team game there, helping Alexander Albon along for a double points finish because they were being attacked by a certain Isaac Hadjar. This is your full... This is the full rundown. So 2.8 seconds Max Verstappen won by, but then Max Verstappen was sort of catching Oscar towards the latter part, but then Oscar had it, I feel, very much under control. Charles Leclerc 8 seconds off, Lando Norris 9.1 seconds off, so just under 10 seconds, which is actually, I think, after Australia, his best race of the year. George Russell 27 seconds off, his tyres were just gone, and Kimi Antonelli was gobbling up the distance. I think 5 or 6 more laps he may have been past. Lewis Hamilton 7th, nearly 40 seconds off the pace, nearly half a minute, well, about half a minute off his teammates' pace. He is not happy. Carlos Sainz, Alexander Albon 8th and 9th, as we've already said. But the bottom parts, we got Fernando Alonso, Liam Lawson, Oliver Behrman, Esteban Ocon, Nico Hulkenberg, Lance Stroll, Jack Doohan, Gabriele Bortoleto. They all finished the race, and sadly 19th and 20th, a disaster on the first lap for Yuki Tsunoda and Pierre Gasly. Yes, I kind of think that was a racing incident. Guess if you look into it a bit more, you may have been able to see people that could have avoided that. But I guess we shall see. But let's then get into the thing that everyone is talking about, and this is Max Verstappen versus Oscar Piastri at that first corner. So as we know, Max Verstappen started on pole, stunning pole by the way, yesterday, and it was Oscar Piastri starting second. But it was Oscar Piastri, as you can see here. It was Oscar Piastri that very much got the launch. He got the better launch than Max, and at this point, Max Verstappen knew he was beaten. I mean, look, the momentum that Oscar had, he's through. He's past Max Verstappen, and Max, I feel, we'll get into that in a bit. And then there's Max trying it, and he was so much faster than Oscar, obviously. Oscar, maybe a slightly more acute line. Max not quite making the corner, and then going forward and be like, yeah, I'm not going to give the place back. You did not give me any space. Now, let's really get into this, okay? So this is the start of the race from a slightly different angle, as you can see here. The race has now begun, and it's Oscar Piastri versus Max Verstappen. As we know, Oscar gets the better start. Here he is. Max tries to shut him off, but Oscar's too fast. He can't. Max cannot put his car in the way because Oscar is already more than alongside him. And when I say more than alongside, he is ahead of him now. Oscar's aiming for the corner. Now, at this point, as you can see here, Max is sweeping. He wants to sweep out round the outside of the corner. Fair enough, Max. Which he kind of does. He's sweeping around the outside, making the line less acute so he can take more speed in. And this is the key to why Max got a penalty. It's the speed that Max had. At no point, I think, and the let's just say, stewards would have had more information than we have at the moment. At no point, I think, was Max even going to make the corner because he knew he was beat. Very much like the US Grand Prix with roles reverse, obviously, with Lando versus Max. He's going to say, oh no, he's pushed me off, so I'm just going to carry on. And carry on, Max he does. Yeah, to be fair, there is no space. There is no space. But I don't think Max was ever going to make the corner. And when you listen to him, when you listen to both the throttle, he just comes off the throttle and kind of like admits to himself, well, I'm not going to make the corner. I'm just going to go straight on. And at that point, the mindset of Max Verstappen is like, I'm going to lead this race, whatever. Which is why I think he deserved the penalty, in my opinion. 5 seconds, I think it should have been 10. Now, there's a reason why it was 5 seconds. We'll get into that. But the mindset there is almost like the men's rear court. The intent was, I'm going to lead the race anyway, etc. Which I feel is classic Max. As I've said it before, fantastic, very talented guy, can't race. In terms of like within the rule, can't race fair, and everyone says he's a genius. He's such a genius, this Max Verstappen, for bending, for getting so close to the rules. No, I just don't think he can play fair, and he sulks when he gets found out like he did today. And the man Oscar Piastri deserved to win. Max Verstappen should have given the place back. He didn't give the place back, and the difficulty of not giving that place back was Oscar Piastri at that point then was completely in the dirty air. This is their radio shouts. He needs to give that back. I was ahead, says Oscar. Fair enough. Max said, he just forced me off. There was no intention of him to make the corner, which is exactly what Max basically did. I mean, and let's be fair, Oscar did make that corner, didn't he? And then he's put information. They've told Max, you've got a time penalty for that turn one incident. Well, that's bleeping lovely. Yes, not simply lovely. I know. And then somehow Max Verstappen gets driver of the day. Yeah, I mean, no, he didn't deserve. I don't think he deserved driver of the day, but it's good. It's a democratic vote. Fair enough. I wouldn't have voted for Max driver of the day because basically he tried to cheat, in our opinion. He absolutely did, because he thought, I'm going to get ahead, and then he stay ahead. At no option was he going to give the place back. It was a 5 second penalty, which I feel was not enough whatsoever. That 5 second penalty wasn't enough. And the big issue I had with it, right, is the big issue I had with it is simply because we know now in this current rule set that clean air is king. Clean air is what you need, and it damaged Piastri's tyres to the point where Max was able nearly to get that 5 second. Potentially had to get that 5 second. And I think we would be in a world of trouble then, because we'd have a guy that essentially shortcutted his way on the first corner to ultimate victory in the end. But we all know Max is better than that. And he said here about the penalty, it's better we don't talk about it because we are, anyway, not allowed to express our opinion on that. So, yeah, that one I kind of agree with Max in terms of the FIA are absolute horrible people. They don't like free speech whatsoever. Let's be honest. They don't like their drivers criticising the FIA because it's penalties all round from Mohammed Ben Sulayem, a man that, let's be fair, should have resigned well over 365 days ago. Somehow, someway, he is still here. I mean, you just see him, shaking the hands, trying to getting in everyone's way. He wants to be the main event. I mean, he has main character syndrome, doesn't he? That's Mohammed Ben Sulayem all round. So this is the penalty thing, and it goes It says here, obviously. Can't see it. Number one driver Max Verstappen, time 20:04. Session race. Car 1 left the track at turn 2 and gained a lasting advantage. Yes, he did. Breach of the article, 5 second time penalty. Well, it should have been 10. Liam Lawson got a 10 second penalty. Why wasn't it a 5 second penalty? Well, they said the stewards reviewed the position marshalling system data, timing, telemetry, and in-car video evidence. Remember, telemetry, that's one thing we don't have. And in the term of that, car 81 had its front axle at least alongside the mirror of car 1 prior to the apex of the corner. When trying to overtake car 1 at the inside, car 81 was alongside car 1 at the apex, as in Oscar was alongside Max at the apex. Based on the driver's standard guidelines, it was therefore Oscar's corner, and he was entitled to be given room. Car 1 then left the track and gained a lasting advantage and was not given back. He stayed in front of car 81 and sought to build on that advantage. Yes, he did. Ordinarily, 10 seconds. However, given that it's a lap 1, turn 1 incident, we consider that to be a mitigating circumstance, 5 seconds. Now, the reason why I don't think it's 5 seconds is because basically the intent of Max, they've got the telemetry data. At no point was he wanting to make the corner. He was just, no, I'm just going ahead. Not too dissimilar to if you cast your mind back to Abu Dhabi 2021, when Max had no intention of making the corner, and I'll try to take Lewis out, let's be fair, several times in that race, which is, once again, really sad. but that's Max Verstappen. There is a parallel universe. I want a world where we have this fantastic, talented Max that can actually race fair, wheel to wheel, is a hard racer, and not. And now the issue is, he was sulking, wasn't he? Really, when you look at the interviews, I understand why he didn't want to say much. He just looked absolutely. Even in the driver's ready room, he looked abhorrent, didn't he? He was really, really sulky. Was he a bad loser today? Yes. Were Red Bull bad losers? Yes, but to be fair to them, they're always going to defend Max anyway, aren't they? They're always going to defend Max. And we've got this brilliant talent that I'm sure is capable in his own head, somehow, if he wanted to, of racing fair and racing hard, but that's not what Max Verstappen does. And I'm sure this won't be the first or last time we'll be talking about it. Max, you are better than that. You are a 4 times world champion for a reason. You are very talented. It's just a bit sad to see, isn't it? So, yeah, definitely the right man won. And also, man of the race, I think, according to motorsport.com, this one I kind of probably agree with, is Lando Norris. Started 10th, finishing 4th. Had he got on the podium, I think it would have been an absolute stone bonker with Lando Norris being the man of the race. Definitely. But sadly, he just finished 4th. I think one of the reasons he finished 4th, he spent about 2 or 3 laps behind Lewis Hamilton, trying to get past Lewis Hamilton. The first time I get it, to be fair, I thought Lewis probably should have got a penalty as well, when it wasn't quite a brake check, but it was a very early braking point to make sure that he got the DRS rather than Lando, and I thought that was really naughty of Lewis, to the point where if it wasn't a penalty, it should have at the very least been a black and white flag. But Lando at that point should have realised, this is the game, and then the next lap got past Lewis. Sadly, he didn't, and maybe that's the reason that cost him maybe enough time to make sure he couldn't get to grips with Charles Leclerc. And speaking of Leclerc, P3, fantastic for Charles Leclerc, sad for Lewis Hamilton. P7, he just wasn't with that. There were times that he was doing really competitive times in the race after the pit stop. But for whatever reason, he's not just clicking with the car. I'm sure he will. As I said, give him to the British Grand Prix. Once again, fantastic teamwork by the Williams boys, P8, P9. Excuse me, I'm trying not to burp. And this is the drivers' standings. 99, yes, Oscar Piastri. He's now 10 points ahead of Lando Norris. Oh dear. I mean, yeah, fairly significant there for Lando Norris. And Max Verstappen, to be fair, is still there. He still is very much in the championship, as is George Russell. I don't quite think Leclerc, Kimi and Lewis are going to be quite there at the moment, but we know anything can change. If you remember from Miami onwards, everyone thought Lando possibly could do it. And obviously Lance Stroll somehow is still in the top 10. So absolutely fair play to Lance Stroll. And, both the Mercedes drivers did about as good as they can, but sadly, the tyres just completely chewed up on George Russell's car. They're a toast. At one point. And interesting fact of the day, the wow fact of the day is Charles Leclerc now has the same amount of Ferrari podiums as Fernando Alonso after his podium at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix 2025. Imagine that. But I want to leave you all with this man here, Oscar Piastri, the winner of the 2025 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. But, well, to be fair, there is one more thing I wanted to add, because I've seen online a lot of people comparing the start to Abu Dhabi 2021. And goodness me, why did Hamilton not get a penalty for the Abu Dhabi 2021 start? Well, let's have a look, shall we? So, let's go. Here we go. This is Lewis and Max down, obviously, the DRS straight. And Max Verstappen then is going to overtake Lewis. But this is far more, not side by side. This is an absolute dive bomb from Lewis, to the point where he doesn't really make the corner. His car goes off the corner, like half his car goes off the corner, and Lewis Hamilton goes forward. Essentially, I feel it is a completely different scenario as to what Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri, wherever you may differ. But that's the wonderful thing about Formula One. We can all have absolutely different opinions, but we all come together on a Sunday afternoon, morning, evening, middle of the night, depending where you are in the world, to enjoy 20 people go crazy with their cars and hopefully having a good race. So if you made it to the end, let me know. Comment below, let us know if you made it to the end. But if you're not subscribed, please subscribe, hit that notification button as well so you don't miss a video. We'll be doing our ratings probably tomorrow because it's quite late now. And I've got WrestleMania to watch live as we speak. It starts in a couple of hours for the little ones. So, apart from that, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time, but above all else, stay safe.